And this is why I love Destructoid. I need to make a small addendum just because new information has been brought to my attention in this whole thing, and it only makes me more furious. So I'm just going to present the information, opine a little wee bit, and then I'm done. So, going to the blog of this particular person, Kenna, who I will post down in the underbar, but I will post it with the caveat that if anybody goes to this person's blog, because people have been doing it anyways, so I'm not the first. If anyone's going to the blog just to get on Kenna's case about the possible reasons why she's doing things, in other words, if you are actually going to personify the very things that were talked about in the comments that I'll probably be rereading to bring context to this video here, then I don't condone that. I'm not asking for that. I don't condone it. And it's counterproductive to say the least. And that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this is, if you're going to call me a misogynist for saying what I said, if I can draw a clear-cut link between two different things that are completely related, and you want to tell me that they're not, and then call me rotten names, then you better believe I'm going to come back at you with evidence and information. Show, don't tell. So I'm going to do just that, because I want to read this little passage from her blog post from March the 15th, the very day that Miss Anita had released her video Tropes versus Women. After talking about getting inspired mostly by a dad who changed Donkey Kong for his daughter so that she could play as the princess, which, as far as I've come to know of it, Paulina was not a princess. She was a girlfriend that was kind of a character who was dropped. If anything, she was a template to be probably Princess Peach, but Paulina was just basically scrapped. She's not a princess. But details, right? But if you scroll down several little points, it goes, that got his attention. We've been talking about a Zelda-centric game ever since the first Tropes versus Women in video gaming was released. He's a huge fan of the series and really wants to see a game completely based around Zelda. We have two of those games for CDI. In fact, there's a CDI emulator, and I'm very certain that there are CDI ROMs out there. You don't have an excuse not to try some of them. I digress. This series could use a shakeup like that. It already has had that on the CDI. It's also had major shakeups in the forms of things like Spirit Track. I've been over this. And you want to call me a social justice crazy? You want to call me a men's rights activist? Not that I think that the actual the MRA movement is a bad one, but don't call me something I'm not. And what was it that you said to me? What was it you said to me in your comment before leaving, before walking out of the friendship? And you said, do not link what Kenya did to Sarkeesian. I didn't need to. She did it to herself. Oh, you've known her for 10 years? You've known her for 10 years, and yet you would make a claim like that against me. You would insult me. You would spit in my good name for no good reason when I was right. And instead of addressing my talking points, you went for ad hom after ad hom until basically absolving this and then acting as if you had the moral high ground here. You said things that were incorrect. Now it all makes sense now. You don't care how incorrect Miss Anita seems is, or at least that's how you're presenting yourself, my ex-friend. You don't care where I'm coming from. You don't care what my position actually was. You were upset that I had talked any kind of smack against Miss Anita Sarkeesian, and that I had happened to link Sarkeesian's work to your friend's work, which your friend herself admits was an inspiration for it. So it wasn't just coincidental timing. You can suck an egg for this kind of mistreatment. You know what? Yeah, I'm glad you unfriended me because you're not a very good friend. And the way you're presenting yourself and the way you came at me, you're not a very good person either. I'm sorry, but this just makes me angry because I try my damnedest to treat everybody equally, to treat everybody's situations equally, even getting into fights with people who decide to offhandedly waive some human rights issues because of other human rights issues. Not that I'm saying that one is better than the other or one needs more focus than the other, but I'll get into that when I get into my series about, well, in part, why I'm not a men's rights activist myself, but also why men's rights and other issues of that are there. But this exactly illustrates exactly what I've said. You either agree or you're a misogynist. I'm sorry. I don't ascribe to a kind of label like that because if you could dare to say that to me, and then I find this out thanks to an astute commenter um, over at Destructoid. You know, people in fan bases, unlike Kotaku, who seem to actually do their homework instead of labeling me something that I'm not being. But with this addendum, this closes things out. I couldn't let this little bit of information slip by. If you're going to say that I'm saying something that isn't true, then you better dang well have proof of it because I sure as heck have proof of it. Links to the Destructoid article as well as Kenya's blog is down in the underbar, with the caveat that if you're going there just to start trouble with Kenya, stop. I do not condone that. This video is not about that. This entire situation is not about that. Kenya and her boyfriend have decided to do what they've decided to do. That's fine. I wash my hands of this situation here, but I do not condone going after this girl simply because you are a misogynist, simply because I don't agree with going after her, period. I'm just trying to clarify things. I'm trying to make sure people understand I take my good name seriously. And if you're going to slander me, you better hope that you have actual information, that you actually have a provable point, or I will destroy you. And I am through.